One reviewer actually quoted the 13-year-old girl saying, and I quote, "One couldn't escape death, but it should come later. She wanted to know what it felt like to have full breasts and a woman's nipples at least once before she died. It would really suck if hornets killed her before she had that chance. Hornets."
A vivid quote cited quite negatively by that particular reader. An unusual preoccupation noted by several, in fact.
Unusual? It sounds like dialogue written by an alien who only learned about puberty from a misprinted health pamphlet. Which brings us, I suppose, kicking and screaming, to the book itself.
Indeed, we are discussing Killing Commendatore by Haruki Murakami. The information available suggests it follows a recently separated portrait painter who moves to an isolated mountain home. He discovers a hidden painting, encounters mysterious neighbors, hears a bell underground, things become surreal.
Surreal is one word for it. Other words, according to the Peanut Gallery, include bloated, tedious, and my personal favorite, a short story idea with an ego problem.
There was certainly significant division regarding the length, nearly 700 pages. Some readers found it meditative, immersive. Others felt it was, as you noted, perhaps excessive. One suggested it needed to lose at least 200 pages, maybe more.
200 pages. That's like removing the entire middle section of a sandwich and just eating the bread. What's left? Dry crust and confusion, which, come to think of it, sounds like some reader's experience. They wanted an editor. They practically screamed for one. No book has needed an editor more desperately. One wailed.
The pacing was described contradictorily. Very, very slow by some, yet another called it Murakami at his most compulsively readable. Curious.
Compulsively readable like watching paint dry. Perhaps, which ironically, he does a lot of painting. I mean, people actually like that bit.
Yes, the descriptions of the artistic process were frequently highlighted as compelling and a strength. The delicious bites of watching the narrator paint.
Delicious bites of paint description, while the plot wanders off to have an existential crisis in the woods for 50 pages day. And speaking of characters having crises, the narrator himself, our painter friend, thoughts based on the reactions.
Opinions varied. Some found his artistic journey relatable, perhaps more self-aware than previous Murakami protagonists. Others described him as bland, apathetic, and were quite exercised by a perceived lack of growth. One reader stated it made me so angry that he didn't change.
Angry. Imagine getting furious because a fictional painter didn't achieve sufficient spiritual enlightenment while dealing with. Well, we'll get to the tiny talking idea later. But the anger, maybe that reader needed a Snickers. Or maybe the narrator was just a void in a sensible cardigan.
And then there was the character Mirai, the 13-year-old girl. This generated considerable commentary.
Oh, here we go. Buckle up, listeners. Hez about to drop the B word. Breasts. Was it the breasts?
Reviewers frequently used terms like creepy, odd, disturbing, and unnecessary to describe the recurring focus on her breasts and her dialogue about them with the adult narrator. One reader, identifying as having been a 13-year-old girl, stated flatly, no girl that age would ever have discussed this with some random weird dude who taught her art class.
You hear that? Straight from the horse's mouth. Or, well, a former 13-year-old girl's keyboard. It's baffling. Why? Was Murakami just ticking boxes on his own personal weird tropes bingo card? One reviewer literally said, I guess I'm just getting a bit bored of 13-year-old girls talking about their boobs to 30-year-old men they don't know. I don't know, you know. The eloquent cry of a generation.
It was flagged as problematic, which leads to a question, perhaps for our listeners. Reviewers were clearly uncomfortable, deeply so. Where is the line? Artistic expression exploring awkwardness, or just plain weird and unsettling, as many felt. Some might think the line is drawn in invisible ink by a 2-foot-tall man.
Affirmative. Speaking of whom? The Commendatore. The little dude, An embodied idea. People seemed to actually like him, called him delightful, amusing. He apparently improved every scene he was in.
Yes, the surreal elements, like the Commendatore or the mysterious ringing bell from the underground pit, were praised by some for creating a weird, nearly surreal alternate world. Others found them simply too weird or baffling.
Too weird. This is Murakami. It's like complaining there's too much cheese on a pizza. Although, some did complain there was too much everything. Remember the length. Maybe the Commendatore should have been the editor. A tiny, formal, supernatural editor. Affirmative. Cut this paragraph.
There were also strong reactions to the ending. Again, contradictory. Some found it a real dud that erases most of the inner progress. Others felt it provided good closure and closed the circle.
A dud or good closure. That's like saying a meal was either poison or the best steak you ever had. How can people be so divided? It's almost impressive. One reviewer literally wrote, "So, what's the point? I really don't know. That sums it up, doesn't it?"
The confusion was palpable in many comments. As with other Haruki Murakami novels, after I'd finished killing Commendatore, I didn't know what to think about it, admitted one reader. Another confessed, "I feel pretty conflicted about this one, despite everything. I really looked forward to reading this book every night, so I don't know."
So I don't know. The unofficial slogan of this book review. And let's not forget the other weirdness magnet Menshiki. The rich neighbor. Mr. Gatsby, but maybe creepier.
Wataru Menshiki, described as fascinating by some, who enjoyed The Great Gatsby parallels reviewers frequently drew. Others found him questionably shady, potentially villainous, and his interest in Mirai was viewed with suspicion.
Gatsby. But Japanese, with white hair, and possibly obsessed with a teenager who might be his daughter. It's like Gatsby meets, well, something much stranger involving underground bells and talking paintings. Got an email here. Says here, Menshiki isn't Gatsby. He's clearly a distraction. The real mystery is the spaghetti. The narrator makes so much spaghetti. Is it a metaphor, an idea, or just lunch? 5 stars for the pasta confusion.
An interesting theory, though the reviews focused more on the other elements, such as the sex scenes.
Ah, yes, the horizontal tango, or in this case, maybe the vertical astral projection tango. Reviewers called them weird, awkward, cringeworthy, gratuitous. One scene was apparently nominated for the Bad Sex in Fiction Award. Aye, wateringly bad, they said.
Indeed. The quantity was also noted lots and lots of sex. One reader mentioned, adding it became a chore. It apparently earned an indecent rating in Hong Kong.
A chore. Imagine sex becoming homework. Or, constantly, who knows?
There were also mentions of historical elements, wine, Nazi plots, the rape of Nanking woven into the backstory, adding layers of trauma, and the violence depicted in the titular painting itself.
Right? The painting, Killing Commendatore, stabbing, Mozart, Japanese stuff. It kicks the whole weird party off. But amidst all this chaos, this division, this weirdness, did anyone just like it, unequivocally?
Some did. There were declarations like positively the best Murakami novel I have ever read, and one of Murakami's best crafted books. The prose itself was often praised, beautifully rhythmic, absolutely wonderful, spellbound magic. The atmosphere, the connections some saw.
So it's either a transcendent masterpiece of atmospheric prose, or a bloated, creepy, badly edited mess that makes no sense and leaves you angry. There's no middle ground. It's love it or want to crack open the author's skull. As one reviewer charmingly put it.
The reactions suggest extreme polarization, yes. Praised atmosphere, debated romance elements, divisive ending, controversial character portrayals, questions about length and editing.
Okay, final verdict time. My turn. For Killing Commendatore, based purely on the frantic, contradictory, and occasionally disturbing whispers of the readers, I give it 2 out of 5 tiny talking commendatores because he sounded fun, minus a full point for creepy teen dialogue, plus 3 points for making reviewers utterly lose their minds. That's carry the 1, 4 points. Let's say 4 out of a possible 7 existential spaghetti dinners.
A unique rating system. My assessment is simpler. The reader responses indicate this book is a significant investment of time that yields wildly divergent experiences. Profound meditation for some, frustrating slog for others.
So, listeners, the consensus is, there is no consensus. Is Killing Commendatore a work of genius, a beautiful disaster, or just proof that even famous authors sometimes forget where the delete key is? Honestly, you probably need to read it yourself to figure out which side of the mysteriously ringing pitch you fall into.
A perplexing case.
Next week, we tackle that pamphlet that came with my new toaster. The warranty section alone looks dense. Might be a two-parter.
Until next time.
Keep it weird.